From your Spaceship Music Collective, this is Six Set Bro, a misguided adventure through the social fringe of the music industry. I'm your host, Dom Maple. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Six Set Bro, music and entertainment podcast brought to you by the good folks over at Your Spaceship Music Collective. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow the podcast on Spotify. Do all that good stuff. Like and comment and share on it. And let's just get down to the show, boys. And you know what time it is. It's Valentine's Day. Oh. We got a jam-packed show for y'all. I'm gonna take us out of this weird mode that we're on Skype and go to something else. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna talk about a couple of things. We're gonna talk about Brexit.
No,
wow, sexy.
We're gonna talk about how Brexit is affecting visa-free travel. Yeah. We're gonna talk about Reasy Ajarro. Chicken. We're gonna talk about Taylor Swift. Yeah, and other stuff, I guess, as well. It's the Valentine's Day special, everybody. Welcome to Six Set Bro. I am Dom Maple. Oh, you know what? I should have done sexy introduction. Sorry. I'm Dom Maple. And I'm joined, as I always am, by my brother. It's
that's
Money
not
Man.
right. That's not right.
Yeah. Brother action. Yeah. And you know him. You know who it is. He's always here. It's the one and only, the Mr. Adultery Andy.
Adultery Andy. That's the best nickname
That's
yet.
not really a sexy name, is it? That's kind of like, man, if your like username on your username on Tinder is Adultery Andy. I
That
don't.
would be
Yeah,
amazing.
wow, stay away from
That's
that
gonna
guy.
get all the messages.
Andy the Adonis. That's better. And we're also joined by three other shit. I keep playing that sexy music. Yeah, we got three other sexy, lovely young men with us tonight, and I'm very excited to do this show. Like I said before, we gotta talk about visa-free travel. We gotta talk about Douglas Week that just happened. That was awesome, and a couple other things just about recovering the Belfast music scene. But before we do that, we gotta introduce them. It is Martin, Ewan, and David from Reasy Ajarro. Everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you guys for being on. Very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah,
Thank you for having us very much.
of course. Yeah, it has been a long time. We had you guys on. Ooh, God knows how long ago was it we done our initial show? Like, I don't even know, a couple of years back, maybe.
2 years?
Got to 4 years.
I don't think it was 4 years. Like,
It can't
Well,
be.
we've had David nearly 3 now.
That's insane.
whoa,
I do.
we
I wanna
actually
say-
have, yeah.
Crazy.
They were potentially the first guests that we,
Mm.
whenever we basically filmed this out of my house when social distancing wasn't a thing. I'm pretty sure these guys were maybe the first guests that we had around to the house to film like a video episode.
I think we
that's-
were.
that's
Dahlia
correct.
were the first.
Yeah, they
Um,
were in
Where
a pub.
we met them
Yeah.
somewhere. We met them at the Dirty Onion, and it happened to be Bring Your Own Dog Day. That was a fucking disaster. That was. We tried to record in there. It was the worst case scenario for doing an interview somewhere. We thought it was a great idea.
A
Did not-
noisy pub and dogs.
Jesus Christ! Wait to know.
I'm
what we
guessing
were
it
doing.
looked good, but sounded awful.
Yeah, well, there's a cool intro, and then the rest of
Sounded
it's kind of
rough,
like
if you will.
inaudible. Oh, it sounded rough.
Oh, hey, where's that applause?
Man, Andy, he's already on. He's switched on. He's locked in tonight. Yeah. So back then, you guys you were not called Reasy Ajarro. You were called Surf Green. So let's start with the elephant in the room, guys. Why the name change? I gotta ask.
Just before they get into this, December 2017.
Whoa. Okay.
3
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
it was
year
just
is it?
before Dave. Just before Dave
Here
joined
is it?
them.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
was
guys.
filming at the time.
Why the name change? Tell me. Fill me in. What is Reasy Ajarro? Why did this happen?
You seem to be good at answering this question, so I'll. And you look very eager. You're like, oh, microphone up the face.
We started writing completely different songs in a different style that didn't really sound like Surf Green after we got David, and we wanted to treat it like a brand new band. So effectively, we decided to not just rebrand and change the name or do anything as superficial as that. We decided just to completely stop, gap, and end Surf Green in 2019, and then began recording for Reasy Ajarro, and have been coming up with new songs, a completely different game plan, different image, somewhat different style. But I think there's still a lot of things that people who like the original band will like in this, and hopefully we'll be able to attract more people to it as well.
That's a fantastic answer, and I also like that there's a connection obviously with Surf Green because Reasy Ajarro is not just a band name, it's the name of one of the Surf Green songs. Not it's meta. That's some sort of weird meta shit that's going on. It's like although you are a new band, you based your band name on a song from the old band, so you will
Yeah.
always be linked with Surf Green in a way, I
There's a
suppose.
big, like, elaborate reason behind that. But like,
Yeah, you see, we actually used to be called Surf Green. Right, so we'll just go say Surf Green 2015 to 2019, full stop. But Surf Green used to be called Reasy Ajarro as well.
Oh
That was-
really? Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I did not
before
know
we were
this.
called Surf Green, and
Wow.
then we decided we didn't like Surf Green anymore. As a band as a whole, so we're like, what do we name the band? It must have been like 4 or 5 months. We were sitting just going, what are we gonna call a new band?
I think I meant to call the band Cross at one stage.
Just
You did.
because we're angry, we're all cross.
The new song
Cross,
sounded Cross.
amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's bound to be taken, right? I feel like any one random word is taken every time. Anytime
gotta be,
somebody
like-
was just like, "Oh, we should call the band this," I was like, "There's no way. We'll look it up and it will be gone." It's like every band title needs to be like 5 words long now. Is the only way to get it.
Or else
Um,
have
Or you can
random
take
punctuation
Reasy
in it.
Ajarro
Yes,
and
yeah.
make up words.
Or make up words, yeah, like Reasy Ajarro.
Exactly. Yeah.
What?
Neither
what
word
is it?
exists.
What does it mean? Why does this? Why is the name? Why is it?
Okay, so I think I've got this down
You
the
do.
T. So right, we're going back. We're going back way back to the start. We used to have a guitarist in the band called Jareth. I don't think he's touched a guitar since he was in the band.
Okay.
But
Looks like
that's a side point. We were back in the day, the Facebook group chat. You know, it was popping. It was absolutely going off.
Yes. Yes.
Nowadays we're all just business, you know, or arguing with each other. But back in the day, you know, some might say we were friends. And we were talking. I think Jareth said my body is Reasy instead of Ready. I can't remember what it was about, but it was something to do with the band.
That's
And I was
important.
like, ooh,
Okay.
because at the time we're not good at naming anything, so we were thinking, what are we going to name the band? And I was like, it's going to be called Reasy.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's not enough. The band at the time was called Jareth in all caps,
Right.
Jareth. And I was like, no, that's not going to go. That's not going to go down well either. So I was like, Reasy Jareth, no. And there was a football match on at the time, a Champions League game for anyone that's interested, and a football player called Aguero scored. He scored a very good goal, and I was like, Aguero into the chat, and no one apart from Jareth liked football in the chat, and it's the same now. So I was like, right, okay. Reasy Aguero? No. I was like, I'm going to incorporate Jareth and put Jar into Aguero, and it'll be Reasy Ajarro. And ever since, that has been the name.
It's starting to feel like a question I wish I never asked.
It's a
That's
question
very
I wish
fair
we'd never been
That-
asked.
Yeah, that was quite an
Although-
evolution there.
Although from this point
Wow.
on, because I'm probably, well, us two are probably the only ones that watch football in this chat. When I see Aguero, I'm just going to think of that
Yeah.
fucking name now.
Your
Reasy
association.
Ajarro.
See, when people ask me that question, I just say it was a dumb typo from when we were teenagers and just leave it at that.
I just said a better way to do it. Like,
Yeah, that
That's
gets
quite
it
big
over
for
and
me.
done with. By the way, I apologize in advance of like I have told these guys before, I am out in a little cabin very far away from my house, and I think we're in the midst of some crazy storm at the minute. Is that correct? I don't really. I
Yeah, I
did
think
not pay
Stuart
attention to the
might be
weather.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy from Up with the balloons.
I am very concerned. Like, I mean, if you see me looking around throughout the conversation, I'm not being rude. It's because I feel like the cabin is gonna tip over,
It's
and
falling
I'm
down.
pretty worried about it. There's so many times I've heard a lot of banging that I'm convinced that someone's knocking on the door, which is scaring the absolute bejesus out of me. I don't like it. But I think it's just, parts of it falling off, which is probably not better, but better than some serial killer being at my door, I guess. Yeah, so sorry if I keep turning away. For anybody watching on the YouTube channel, I'm not losing my mind. It's just very
watching
windy,
for
and I'm
murderers.
starting to get freaked out here. So, so we'll crack into some music news, guys, and then we'll catch up and we'll see where you're at. We got to talk about the new EP coming out. Very excited for that. It's coming out tomorrow, so we have got these guys on at just like the perfect time. So I'm very excited to talk about this. But we gotta do what we do. We gotta jump in to the nation's favorite segment. I'm bringing it back.
Time to get real mad. Time to talk shit about the things we can't stand. Ain't nobody out there's getting a pass. Smart enough, dumbass.
Time.
All right. I feel like I have a lot of work cut out for me this week.
Oh, have you got
Oh
a
wait,
long list?
he's been thinking about this for too long. This
Smart
is gonna be a
enough.
long one.
This is what happens whenever you miss one week of Smarten Up Dumbass.
Let's clear it up. If you're a first-time listener, Smarten Up Dumbass is the nation's favorite segment in this podcast or any podcast out there. There's a lot of things happen in my life, and they really tick me off, and I use this podcast as a vessel to vent my frustrations for things that really just rub me the wrong way and piss me off. So it's usually not important. Don't worry. It's not. I'm not gonna really get into anything important here. But I will say that this is a very important Smarten Up Dumbass. We didn't do last week. We've done it every episode for a long time, and I was shaken to my core after we had Ethan Hanna on here as a guest. We had him on as a guest a couple episodes ago. I did my Smarten Up Dumbass. I started going on about moisture being taken out of fruit and being called a different name, and he called me out
Shut
for
that
being a
shit down.
he shut it down, and he made me feel like a right dickhead. And I was so shaken by the whole thing that the next episode I didn't even do one. I was so put off by the whole thing. I was like, he was right, and I was so angry at fruit for no reason. And it's not fair. So I come back to you with something I think we can all get on board with. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong. See this show, right? Any singing panel show ticks me off anyways, but that's easy. This show, Masked Singer, drives me insane. Has anyone watched this thing? Because I have watched it now once, and it is the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my
I've
life.
heard about it. I haven't watched it though.
The premise of the show is essentially it's like a singing competition, I guess, kind of like X Factor or pop asshole or whatever the hell they're doing now. And they
I would watch that. This
Asshole.
week's contestants on Pop Asshole.
I'm here to sing a song. So they go up there and they sing a song, but they're in like a crazy elaborate costume, and it's because the person is some form of celebrity, but we're meant to guess who they are just based on how they sing. Yeah, your reaction is right. That's really fucking weird. And it's like even the celebrities that are on it are like not even B-list celebrities, they're like D-list. Like you go down, they're like whenever they unveil with the mask off, they're like, who's
The fact,
what?
yeah, the fact that
Oh,
anybody
no.
can guess them is a miracle. Because it's
Yeah,
like when they
first
take
of-
the mask off, it's still like
It's like
But
Who?
But who?
Who's that?
It's just like the BBC Radio 6 presenters of celebrities.
It's yeah, pretty much, more or less. So
Oh,
like
that's
the
kind
thing
of
that's
beautiful.
the thing that's even weirder is whenever you're not quite familiar with the show, whenever you scroll past like a news headline about The Masked Singer, because it seems to be, I don't know why, but it seems like big viewership, like big viewership here on like what's I don't know what's on ITV or BBC or something.
Wait,
And
is this like a British English version? Because I know there's an American one. Or
I
are they
I
just
think
showing
well,
the American one?
I'm pretty sure it's the British version. I think
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm pretty
It's the
sure.
British
Your
version.
man
I
from
think
the
like
Darkness was
Jonathan
in it.
Ross or something's
Mhm.
been on
Oh,
the
they must
panel
have
or
taken
something
it from
like that.
America then, which America
Yes.
took it from Japan.
Yes,
Obviously.
of course. It seems like a Japanese show. That's fair.
It's starting to make a bit more sense.
It is starting to make more sense the more we talk about it. Japanese game shows are insane. But anyways, right. So whenever you scroll past a news headline, it's like I don't even know what's happening. I'm just scrolling and I'm seeing like shit from other people on Facebook, and then it's just like, public convinced that Stacey Solomon is sausage, and I'm like, sorry, what? What is this that I'm reading? And I have to click in to be like, I thought I just had a stroke, because I don't know what that sentence means in English. And then it turns out that there is a sausage dressed up, and
Yeah,
people are
character.
convinced that it's
Yeah.
Stacey Solomon or some shit. I don't know. But the one thing I will end this segment on of my hatred for The Masked Singer. Sorry, two things. One, I have only watched one full episode, and in the episode I guessed who it was, so 100% success rate. Will never watch it again. It was Sophie Ellis-Bextor, by the way. Yeah, and I feel like Martin has love for Sophie Ellis-Bextor, and I knew it was
Murder
her
on the dance
immediately.
floor time.
Well,
Oh my God.
she's so recognizable as a singer, as just like, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
I only
It's
know the name from Martin's drunk posts.
I seen it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to talk to him about this. But yeah, she was on The Masked Singer dressed up as something, and
You're
then
missing out, Ewan.
you are
You need
missing
to,
out.
you need
You
to check
are.
out the back catalog.
Of Sophie.
I 100% will after this, Mike.
Some deep
I'll
cuts
put
in
it
there.
on, like, you'll hear it whether you want to hear it or not.
So
Yeah, go to bed for
I
work
need to
tonight.
tell you a little a tidbit that happened to me in work with in a roundtable discussion about The Masked Singer with a bunch of co-workers, and it was very, very weird. So one person brought up about this show and said, "Oh, I actually really like that show," and I was like, "Oh, really? Like that's weird. I didn't expect them to like it." And I was like, "I just don't get it. Like it seems really dumb to me." And then they started talking about, "Oh no, it's cool. I hate it whenever it's just a singer, like a singer that gets uncovered, because it's like they're in a singing competition and it's like, oh, it was a professional singer all along. It's like, well, whoop-de-doo, like who cares? It's more impressive whenever it's like somebody who doesn't sing and it gets unveiled that, oh, they have an amazing voice, whatever. So we're talking about this and I'm like, look, I don't like it. I think it's pretty stupid, whatever. And then one guy chimes in and he's just like, I know, and it's, you know what the other thing about it is like it's a bit sexual too. And I was like, sorry.
Did you not
What?
just say people are like dressed like sausages?
They do. So I was just like, sorry, what is your point here? And then he was just like, no, it's like, that it's like fetish stuff. This guy, I don't even talk to him that much. So he's just like, it's like fetish stuff, And I was like, I'm still not following. And then he was just like, oh, like those people and they're into it and all. It's like you see them and they dress up, and because they're singing the song, they're like touching themselves and all. And I was like, they're dressed up as like sausages and shit,
And
and he's like,
trees and bumblebees and things.
inanimate objects. So then I got really concerned because like this is a coworker of mine. So I was kind of like, well, I'm never talking to that guy again. That was
You
a
should
bit
get
weird.
him on the podcast. I think we need to hear more about that. Like,
I just
honestly.
love that it was his first go-to. He's like, "I know, guys, it's a bit sexual as well." I was like, "No, it's not. No, it's not."
I absolutely have.
Sausage.
Jeez.
Well, that's all I got on. I think we can unanimously hit The Masked Singer, and I am redeemed.
Oh, don't put me in that category.
No.
No.
Sweet, sweet redemption, Andrew. Sweet,
Here.
sweet redemption. We all
What is
hate
an
it.
American one that's so much better? I'm
Yeah.
just looking through
What's the
people
thing
that-
about though that like they sing and it sounds absolutely perfect, but yet they're probably weighing wearing this costume that weighs an absolute ton and like jumping around and doing a dance routine, but yet it sounds like there's not a waver in their voice.
I've got to assume it's pre-recorded.
Yeah,
right?
it's all
gotta be.
pre-recorded, isn't it?
It's gotta
Yeah.
be.
Hey, it's a TV show.
Calm down.
Never.
Time to get real mad. Time to talk shit about the things we can't stand. Ain't nobody out there's getting a pass. Smart enough, dumbass.
So take that, Ethan Hanna. I'm back, baby. Yeah, so the last week we've had a bunch of stuff happen. On the last episode, I was talking about Douglas Week, which we're currently still in. There is still stuff. I mean, the big thing that I was pushing for Douglas Week was last night's music block, which was hosted by, a big fan of the show, somebody who's been on the show and commented on loads of stuff loads of times. It's Sarah McCready. We're a big fan of her as well, and she hosted the music block despite technical difficulties, which, Jesus Christ, can we relate to that? Because that happens all the time on the podcast. But she had to do that live. We pre-record for a reason.
Yeah. And this is the most people we've dealt with. This is 6 people. And
Yes.
I was watching that last night. I don't know how many people were on that show, and it was all live, and it was all through
There
Zoom.
was Zoom calls from the States, Cork, all around the world. It was amazingly done, and despite some blips here and there with the technical difficulties, it was incredible, and it was so cool. I actually learned a lot about it, a lot about what these people were doing, and just it's crazy that it doesn't really matter where you are. We're all on this crazy musical journey, trying to work our way up. There was people at different levels. There was stars from Hamilton on Broadway. I got on there, I was so honored to be asked to be a part of that. Just people from all these different levels, and just coming together for something super important. So I just want to say a big well done to Sarah, and thank you again for letting me be part of that. If you missed any of the stuff on that week, like I say, there's still some workshops and stuff until the 14th here, but you can go on their website, which we'll put in the comments of this episode. It's basically, if you just Google Douglas Week, you will definitely find it. And there's all the videos there, and they have a YouTube channel, and you can go back and watch them again if you didn't catch the live stream of them at the time. The other stuff that we got going on this week, there's been a couple of things here. As far as Brexit is concerned, it's kind of just an update around the whole visa-free travel stuff. Again, we've talked about this on the show before. I wouldn't pretend to be some sort of political correspondent here, so I'm not going to tell you all the ins and outs, but the update on this is that there was a big petition made for reviewing this visa-free touring, which is an issue because Brexit has pretty much just taken it off the table before, which is a bit shit, whenever it was promised that it was going to be okay in the first place. So they've reviewed it, and it got taken back to Parliament, and it just seems like we're still nowhere. It's still a blame game here, where the UK is blaming the EU and vice versa, and they want an end to the blame game, but they're still not getting anywhere, which is just, it's ridiculous. The main update here is that after that, they are doing I think it's next week. I want to say off the top of my head, it's maybe next Tuesday. They're doing a one-off session with the it's the digital and music, I don't know, some political person, Caroline Dinage, I think her name is, and she's going to be questioned about the handling of the music and entertainment sector during Brexit, because it seems like, along with so many other things, they were totally screwed over. So I think a lot of people from that industry are going to be there and be able to put their points forward and try and hopefully push something else through here, because at the minute it is just looking like a dire situation. The pandemic's been bad enough for touring and travel and everything else. This is when we recover from that, the likes of you guys being able to tour throughout Europe, near impossible because you'll not be able to afford it. Artists coming here to do shows won't be able to afford it. The whole thing is going to be a mess. Fingers crossed that we have a better update to bring you down the line, but so far that's where we are on the story. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or if you've been following it at all, but it is quite stressful, and I feel like it's just below the surface at the minute, because the main issue is coronavirus. So it's kind of like we're worried about that and how we recover from that at the minute. But even after that, the Brexit situation is gonna screw everything. It's like how do you guys as a band, how are you gonna get further afield? How are you gonna be able to tour?
It's really an issue that's higher than us, unfortunately, and it's obviously ridiculous, and the reason that it's not been like as highly, like it's not top of the articles as you said, is because of the pandemic. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's gonna benefit no one. No one's gonna come here. We're gonna like be in a situation. We don't get many bands here to Northern Ireland in specific anyway. It's hard enough to get bands here. Never mind if we have to go somewhere else because they can't come to the UK in general. It's bloody ridiculous. Genuinely, like there's
Yeah, it's just going to be another thing like that's going to make it hard for people to kind of make music their thing, you know, and make like performing their thing. Like if we want to like, release our music and get it out to the world and stuff, like the original way, you know, was to just go out and play these shows, get that small fan base and build it up. Obviously, that's kind of fell off in the past few years, but like now, so it's gonna have fallen off almost entirely because it's gonna be all based on YouTube and Instagram and you know how you market yourself online as opposed to how you actually sound live, you know.
100%, man. And I think you're right that even in recent years, it's taken somewhat a turn that way. But it's not that live touring is dead altogether. But this could be it. You know, this be the knife in the end of it, which is very disappointing because there's a lot to be said for bands who tour like crazy and make a name for themselves that way. It's the reason we have so many different ways to climb the ladder. You know.
Yeah, like high energy would have like been kind of our thing, hopefully, you know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like if anybody had seen like a Surf Green show before, and I know once you guys get back to it, it's gonna transfer to Reasy Ajarro shows as well. It's like that is definitely one of the, if you were doing bullet points of the selling points of you guys, is like the live shows. There is some bands, we've talked about it before, it's like they come across better on a record live or vice versa or whatever. But the new single that we'll get to, you guys, you put out an amazing single, but then you also have like the live show energy there. And like, if you guys were able to like even go across the mainland UK and play shows and stuff, that kind of energy in that live show is going to capture new fans. And like, as you say, it's another roadblock now. It's basically, it's almost like, well, that's not an option. So it has to go all to marketing and like an online presence and stuff. It's just cutting that route out for you, because some people find different roads. Some people like can make it or break using social media, and then some people do it via live shows. And to me, you guys have like double threat there, where you have got quality on both sides. But this whole touring thing
very kind, thank you,
is eliminating that for you guys. It is basically only giving you the social media side of things, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, that's it, man. Because it's not like it's impossible, but it's kind of like financially, it will feel impossible. Yeah, it really will.
It's just finding a way of trying to like capture that energy of the live setting and push that out, you know, because like super tight, clean thing wouldn't really suit the vibe, you know. Like it'd be nice to do some live videos or something like that, but as you say, that's got budget.
Yeah,
it's also like logistics at the minute too.
Yeah,
like I know you and I live together, but like it's getting anyone that will come and engineer it at the time, and because obviously we're 3-piece, you know, we're already quite spread quite thin, you know, we're doing everything we can do, and for us to do like a live set or a session or something that we could put out, it's like it's not possible now either, because I've seen a lot of people going, yes, this band's doing a live session, I don't know why you're not doing that. That's the reason. For example, Dave, you live in a different house than me and Ewan. Ewan and I didn't live in the same house until a few months ago. You know, it seems like people want to, like, we may as well play live if that was the case, you know, because we're putting that many people in danger to do a live set to put out to the internet, you know, like what's the difference, you know?
No, I totally get that. I think we said on one of the, I think it could have even been the show with Ethan on, but really it's the singer-songwriters that can, I wouldn't say thrive exactly, but they stand much more of a chance to do something like that, because it's just them, and if they have the technical ability to put that together, then there's a way to do live stream shows and just, put stuff up like that themselves. Like even what I did as part of Douglas Week there, I managed to do because it was just me. Oh, David was gone, and now he's back with promotion behind him. Amazing.
So you're
Our
already
marketing
working
guy
on the
made him do
social
that.
media already.
Yeah, I was like, that was such a marketing ploy. I love that. But yeah, man, it's, I really hope there is something that is dealt with there. Like I said before, I am not, I suppose I'm the 6 political correspondent, which means I know nothing. And I don't really know the ins and outs of this or where it can go from here, but it is disappointing that it seemed like, oh, that was a big fuck up. Let's deal with it. So many signatures on petitions, deal with it in Parliament again. It didn't seem like it went anywhere.
They do
And
have
that
some-
scares me.
They do have some pretty high level people talking about this. So did I see
Oh, yeah.
the other day, like Elton John was coming out and speaking about it and saying like, look, this doesn't actually matter for me, but like if you want the next person that's gonna be like like an artist like me, you need to be able to let them cut their teeth by touring in Europe and all around Europe and stuff. So that was kind of the point that he was making, and I think he was talking to like a government minister and stuff. So there's definitely there's people taking it seriously at the top end of the music industry, which is a good, like a positive,
Yeah,
hopefully,
and I
that
think
maybe they'll be
yeah.
able to get somewhere.
I think that's the only way that we will get somewhere is people
It's
like
not
that
easy for them
fighting
to
for it,
talk
push
about
it
though,
back.
because they are big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
but
just
this
like,
is the
"Hi, I'm
thing.
Elton John. You have to sort it out."
But technically,
I'm
he
fine.
does. Yeah,
I'll
that's
be
the
okay.
thing. Technically, he doesn't have to say anything because that's exactly the point that he made. He's like, if you introduce these restrictions for me, like touring, it's like it's fine. I'm pretty sure he said it almost exactly like this. It's fine. It's extra money for me, but it won't stop me from touring. But that's not the problem. It's stopping new people coming through, and it's like you're actually gonna kill a lot of creatives coming up that they just won't actually get the experience that they need, and then their career might fall short of what it's actually supposed to be. And I think it was a good point, like, but as you say, it is easy for him to say in his position. I do
Have
know
you
that.
been thinking of long term, like if it has to go online for a bit, or you use just ready for things to be open?
I was actually kind of begging the guys the other day. I was like, "There's got to be something we can do," and every single avenue we went down is just not possible at the minute.
Yeah.
At the minute,
Yeah,
though,
pretty much.
it doesn't necessarily have to be everywhere open again.
Yeah.
Because we really want to do a live session, even
And how
just of the
comfortable are
EP.
you with performing, like off the bat, just first gig? When things go, oh look, we can play here. Like, how will you just go for it, or like, what's your mindset going in?
Yeah,
I would
like,
imagine so.
It
Sorry.
would just be like
Let us
rehearsal.
lock down in a room for a week and just practice non-stop, and yeah, we two will jump
Good to
in.
go.
We're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I think you guys have always, because you've played together for so long, it probably is like, it'll maybe be shaking the cobwebs off, so to speak. But
Well, not
I
even
think
that.
once you
I'm
get back
talking
out of the
about
ground.
just the whole.
Oh, the
feeling of
coronavirus deal
being out
is.
there.
Yes, yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you mean now, Andy. Yeah, is it sort of like.
Yeah.
I'm sure
If it-
performance, like riding a bike, but like nobody's been performing since this thing has happened. And then
Yeah.
you've got all this news flooding in, all the paranoia, all the panic, and then it's settled down, frustration, and then it's like, now go perform.
I'd
Yeah.
be happy to perform in like 10 minutes, like just to do it,
Yeah.
I think that is the general consensus from probably most of the music community is kind of like, just let me play a fucking show again. I don't care if it's shit. I don't care if I sound absolutely horrible and everybody leaves. It's like, I just want to play.
Yeah. Genuinely give us our worst gig back to us. Like if we
Yeah.
if we could tell you our worst gig and that was our only opportunity to play a gig again, we would happily relive it. Well, I would happily relive it. I can't
Just
speak for the other
outside,
guys.
Totally.
anything outside the umbrella, anything, just as long as you can play.
Yeah.
Genuinely, yeah.
That day I had food poisoning in Port Rush, and there was 3 people in the room. I would
Yeah.
do that in a heartbeat right now. Just
I mean,
no
that's
questions asked.
I think what Andy is saying there as well, though, is that like for a band like you guys who are like you're well known for high energy, jumping around, getting involved with the crowd, doing all this crazy shit, throwing stuff into the crowd, all kinds of stuff. It's like, what way does that look though? Because, you know, for argument's sake, at the minute, what they're saying, restrictions and stuff potentially lift. We don't know where in, what is it, March 8th or something. They're looking at all this again. Say by April or May, you're able to play a show and they let this happen. I highly doubt it will, by the way, but just hypothetically, does the show still look the same? Is it still that sort of getting involved with the crowd to that extent, or is this gonna be? I mean, I don't know what the regulations will be like in a venue anymore, but does that kind of hinder you guys a bit?
You could just imagine like people jumping around and just hand sanitizer.
Sanitize the beach balls and stuff before they come out.
Like, if you do a stage dive, does anyone catch you?
I could genuinely see it in a way where, like, even for the first while, if it has to be, we will literally provide, like, I was going to say PPE, but apparently the NHS can't even do that. But, like, literally every person that comes through the door, if they want to mosh, we give them, like, a bin bag, essentially.
That
You give
would be
them
a
something
hilarious
that,
gig
like,
to go to.
will literally, like, protect them from all odds. Make sure they wear a mask, you know, take all the element of fear out of it. And I think it would be the most mental gig possible. Like, everyone would go mad.
Death
You can
wall
add
with,
to the
like,
gig by
everybody
like doing
fully dressed.
you can add to
PPE.
the gig by doing like a Kurt Angle milk from a hose.
Oh,
Fucking
the, like, spray
sanitize.
Oh, yeah.
Sanitizer!
That would be incredible. Oh,
Just
that's
stick
an
on
idea.
hazmat suits, call ourselves Radioactive Ajarro for one night, and just go at it.
Oh man, funny
Geiger
idea.
counter instead of a metronome.
I think there will be a crazy amount of creative ideas once people are allowed to gig again. I think there will be random
Yeah.
stuff like this done by people, which will be
The
amazing.
first few months will be wild because people just want to go. Like they just want to
Yeah.
go and experience a live performance.
Yeah, I
agree,
can't wait to
definitely.
see what the early crowds at
Oh,
gigs are going to be like again.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. If there was ever a time to be trying to come up on the music scene, it's kind of double-edged sword at the minute, like, but for crowd participation and
Oh, yeah,
people
totally.
enjoying live music, it's like it's there. It's now is the time, definitely, because people are desperate for
They're
it.
gonna
I
be
think.
foaming at the mouth,
Yeah, and
definitely.
if
Like
you
the
start
performance are going to be
building,
rushed, so
yeah.
so will the crowd.
like if you start building now and you're ready for the live performance and you're ready to go from day one when they go right, you can perform. See them that first weekend, second weekend. It's going to be wild, I think.
Oh yeah, totally.
100%. Definitely, man. I suppose whenever I say about it being a double-edged sword, that is the other thing that I'm gonna hit on here, with a segment that we call the big question. I have been saying for weeks that I was gonna make a stinger for the big question, and I finally did it. Finally made a stinger, everyone. So this is it. This is the big question, coming at you, stinger premiere.
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, it is time for
That was perfect. David got
That was
tired
too
of
much
waiting
for
on
David,
the
like.
ending.
Yeah, David left.
He just dropped out. It's like, nah,
David-
too long.
David
much
left
for
the
his
Skype
bandwidth.
call. That's fair.
I did not expect that to go disco whenever it started.
Yeah,
I
neither
thought it
did
was
I, to
going
be honest.
somewhere else.
Neither did I. Oh, well, David will have to be filled in. Hopefully he'll get the gist of this whenever he comes back. He must be
We should
having
get him
some...
to come back and just answer it, even though he
I'm not
doesn't
sure
know.
if my audio is still recording, by the way.
Oh, dear. Oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry. Look, worst case scenario, we're using the Skype audio for this, so apologies for anyone that's listening at this point, and we're using bad quality Skype audio. That's why.
Just blame me.
No, that's not even Ewan's fault. It's just technology. The robots are coming to get us, and they don't want us to use them properly, apparently. Because every time we try and do this show, there's some sort of issue.
Still running, boys. It's all good. Sorry.
Oh, we're still. That's fine then. We're good. We're good. We'll be fine. It'll just be David who's dropping in and out. But hopefully he's still recording on his end. We'll be grand. Right. So the big question, what I'm going with this week is based off a post I seen from Belfast Music, which they put up a thing saying that they are working with the sound diplomacy to create a comprehensive music strategy and recovery plan for Belfast. Oh, David's returned.
Sorry.
No,
Alright.
never worry, my man. You're back. That's all that matters. So the big question I have based on this, oh, and I should also say that Belfast Music working with sound diplomacy, trying to work on a way to come back from this pandemic afterwards. They do have a survey that they're asking people to take part in, musicians and people involved in the industry, to just sort of see, where we're at and what can we do. So the big question to you guys and to all of us in this room is, how do we recover from the pandemic? Because as a music community, not only has it been hard for musicians and people releasing, but our main worry is obviously the venues that we have, not just in Belfast but this country. But we're honing in on Belfast here because that's what they're looking at. But the venues are what really worry me. Promoters that may have done this of their own accord before and we're probably taking a loss a lot of the time, and now will they be willing to do it? Have a lot of people moved on from even trying to be involved in the music scene? What are ideas to get out of this? And not to put you on the spot, I usually like to go first, so I give you guys a chance to think about this. It's all about a discussion. There's really no answer. But I think, Mike, Andy, and I think have even spoken. I think it was after one of the episodes, not that long ago, and we were talking about this because we were sort of like, they're gonna have to. Well, I say they. I don't know who they is. They is us as the music community, but we need to come up with ways to bring money back to this. Events, like big events, in my opinion, which is going to be hard because we're going to need some government support, which I think is the big crux of it, is will we get that? But Mike, what was it we were talking about? Because we were obviously suggesting things like there's culture night, which is it's always been such a huge event, but it's like we need more things like that. And even I would argue that the last couple of culture nights I went to, as incredible as they are, a couple of issues I had was more around it's widely spread out across the day. And it's this whole thing of you think you could go up at like 10 in the morning for culture night, but really the majority of things happen later on in the day. And I don't know, I find that hard. It wasn't last year. Was it 2 years ago, Andy? Me and you went up very early in the morning to
Early,
culture
and there
night.
was nothing happening.
Yeah, and there's a lot on the program to make it out like there's stuff happening, but there really wasn't that much on. And God, I'm talking as somebody who's just going there as a fan of this. So Lord knows
We walked in thinking there was something happening. I can't remember where, but it was like a grade level 2
Oh yeah,
saxophone thing or something. Like
we were like we were trying to get our drink on like early because we were off for the day and we're off the next day and everything. And it's like, let's go get a beer here. And I walk in, there's like kids playing recorders and stuff. And you're like,
I'm just like,
cheers, cheers, boys.
I think our discussion, like after one of the shows that you were saying there, I think what we were kind of getting onto was that like we're not involved in the organization of Culture Night, so I don't exactly know the ins and outs of everything that's going on there and stuff. And I know that a lot of stuff during the day is geared towards like family friendly stuff and everything. But there was two things which, like, I love Culture Night and I love going to it, but like that could, in my eyes, be tweaked to make it slightly better. And one of them was like everybody gets in on it, and like you get the little map of like where everything's happening. And everything is so far apart. Everything is so spread out. And like to try and if you think about it, almost like the same as like going to like a Leeds Festival or Glastonbury or something like that. It's like if you like one band that's playing somewhere and then you're like trying to run over to see another band, like half the time there was like clashes and you're not seeing half the stuff that you want to. So it was like the first thing was like maybe more like of a condensed radius of where this is actually taking part. But the other more important thing, that was just like a minor gripe, was the fact that there is so many friggin' bands in Belfast, so many good bands. And like for you guys to go up during the day and not be able to see any bands at the time that you went, all you seen was like a friggin' recorder performance or something. And I think maybe you seen like some sort of country music cover thing like somewhere outside, which is fine because yes, family friendly events. But it's like for you guys not to be able to go up and see a band that we've talked about on this podcast, see a band that's on the local music scene early on in the day, whenever we know there's hundreds of bands dying to play Culture Night because it's such a big thing for everybody and everybody feels so great whenever they do eventually get to play it. It's like they could have a lineup from friggin' probably 8 a.m. in the morning to like 8 a.m. the next morning. And there's enough bands to actually fill that. It's like, why isn't there just more people playing it?
Yes,
I think that was the main thing that we kind of got into.
That was the main thing that we got to, because like obviously whatever way, I don't know what way the law works with it, because I think on most days maybe you couldn't do stuff like that, but on Culture Night there obviously is live music and there's things in the streets throughout the day and they cordon off the area and they build these big stages. And that was kind of my thing, was like there are stages at different areas in and around like the Cathedral Quarter. And I know that the last couple of years I've went, the stage is there, but it isn't really used until like 5-6 p.m. And I'm like, why go to that trouble to like put it all up whenever, like Mike said, you have so many bands that would be desperate to play there and just wanting to make it a full day of like constant local talent, homegrown talent, to really show off what we have here. But I know that's more of what we're talking about for Culture Night, but I mean, I think we need more events like that as well, which maybe whenever it comes down to it is about funding from the council and them supporting the arts. But I think that's a way for us to come back, celebratory events. Like, God, we need like a post-pandemic festival or some shit like this.
Somebody out there, whoever Culture Night promoters or any other promoters, just needs to do an Oprah and go, "You've got a gig, you've got a gig, you've got a gig," and just start firing out gigs to everybody, because like there's definitely enough bands and like everybody's chomping at the bit to play shows. Like, so that's what I've always not understood. It's like you could honestly fill a bill so incredibly quickly and so easily, and it's not like there is young bands that are cutting their teeth and stuff, but it's not like you're at a loss for people that can put on a show.
Yeah,
you know
experienced
what I mean?
bands. I know what you mean. It's like it's not like you're taking a risk whenever there's so many experienced musicians living, even if you're not saying Northern Ireland, you're just saying Belfast. Even just in Belfast, there's so many experienced musicians.
I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but the other thing I was going to say is I don't know if it's like maybe. We have talked about this on the show as well, and it is another problem to try and solve. Like you just talk about it through discussion, and I have no answers for it and stuff too. But like one of the other problems with like a music scene is always that like people just get like boxed into like circles of people that they know and stuff, and nobody gives themselves a kick up the ass to expand outwards. And it's like, I don't know these people. Like, what sort of stuff do they do? It's like, no, I played with this band, I've played with this band, this is my home, this is my comfortable place, I'm going to stay here, sort of thing. And it's like, I think like promoters and stuff will do that as well. It's like, I know these guys, or these guys have played a show for me and they've recommended these guys. And it's like, it's all just about circles, and like everybody's always seems so scared to take a chance. And
yeah, it is very easy to get insular in such a small, in some parts tight-knit scene, and then in some parts really not.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys have any thoughts on like how do we recover the music scene after this fucking shit show of a pandemic?
I think we just need to like capitalize on like people I'm assuming are going to be chomping at the bit to like go and see gigs as well. Like I mean, I for one, I'm dying to see like I would watch any band, in like Pavilion right now and drink a friggin' banana bread beer that it was too expensive that I don't even fucking want. But
You'd be watching that friggin' recorder show that's doing Andy scene,
Yeah.
and you'd be flipping rocking
Take that
out to
any
it,
day.
like yeah. It's
Hair going, like.
I'd be moshing. But like, we
I
just need to
think,
capitalize on that and like just drop great bands into a lineup, put a great gig on, and then when people all want to go to this gig, they go, and then they go, shit, that was amazing. This is like the first gig. It needs to be like giving the good heroin the first time, and then like, the next time, just give them the best, and they're like, oh shit, and then like they come back, like,
more.
and you can water it down later if you like, but basically,
Yeah.
start.
I think you're right, David. I think that is really this is the thing that we were saying before, and it's such a good point, is I don't know if we've ever had the country like at a point where they're so desperate for live entertainment or entertainment in general, is like for a music community that's struggled to maybe get the general public on board with supporting the amazing artists in this country. It's like now they're I mean, it's a horrible way to get it, but there's the attention of people. I think the minute you can go out and do these things, bars will be filled, places will be filled. It's like, you're right, it needs to be capitalized on. There needs to be things to bring people in there, and we need to be giving people the opportunity, I would say, as well, is to win these people over, because you're going to have people maybe going to these things that have never done before just because they're like, freedom, let's get out of the house, let's go. But no, it's a great point. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, like we can catch the stragglers now.
Yeah, you see a point to do with that, which means there will hopefully be less stragglers in the future. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I've never said it like in a format like this, and I really like to hear what you guys kind of think about it. And at the end of the day, this does boil down to government and things that are out of our control. But from experience, right, when we used to play all ages gigs, we had a packed room every time, and I feel like that fed into the start of Surf Green. We'd always have people there, like people from those all ages gigs that would feed in, and I genuinely think there needs to be both more all ages gigs and less restriction on a way for people to go to gigs, maybe even in a bar. There needs to be a way that they can not police it, but there's got to be a simple way. They do it in Glasgow. They give you a wristband if you can, or if you're underage, or no, they give you a wristband if you can drink, and that literally takes away. It's something simple as that,
Yeah, there's a conversation to be had there, because like when you're that's where it kind of starts, like when you're like 15, 16 and stuff, you want to go to these gigs and stuff, but you can't go. And like how do you get a love for something that you haven't had the time to develop it through that period of your life where you're starting to take on all these new things.
And then eventually they'll end up going, say, I know a lot of like people we would have talked to, like say in school, they're like, oh, I'm going to Thompson's tonight instead, and I'm like, no, man, if you'd went to a gig 5 years ago, you'd be going to the gigs now. Like you would see what we love about it, even if they aren't musicians. And I genuinely think that's such a way to get the general public, people who aren't musicians, but people who like even just who want an entertaining night. That is a way to get them in from the very start, And I feel like it's just absolutely like laws that are obviously there for a reason, but I feel like could be obviously those reasons could be worked into another way, like with the wristband example. I genuinely feel like that can they can work that in a different way to bring things up and increase, like take that bottle cap off and just let everyone that wants to experience a live gig experience it, especially when there's no commitments, there's no job, there's no everyday thing that might stop them when they're older.
Yeah, dude, I'm so on board. I know we probably talked about it on episodes before, but it's definitely something Mike and I had talked about for ages. Even whenever we were doing shows, it was the exact same thing. with this all ages show stuff, because you're right, that's where it starts, and that's, trying to get somebody on board. Unfortunately, so far into their life, if you get to a certain point, some people's heels are dug in and they think they know what they like, and that's that, and they don't really even give it a chance or a shot. It's very hard to talk someone around. Whereas I know from even my own personal experience, I had people, whether it was, co-workers who were under the age of 18, or like my wife's siblings, like her brother and her sister, who actually wanted to come to the show. That's the worst part, is whenever there's somebody that's like, I really want to go to the show, and you're like, you can't, which is the worst thing ever, because I want nothing more than people that actually want to come and see me to come and see me. And so many more people in the room. Ticket sales are there. There is so much to be said for that, and I think it would be a game changer in this country. But there are a lot of laws in Northern Ireland that are kind of backwards, especially when it comes to alcohol and trading laws and things of that nature. Again, not political correspondent here, don't know the ins and outs, but I know that it is somewhat a backwards country in that regard.
I do have a bit of insight into some of this, and it is a shame. There is some underages gigs that happen. I know for a fact that Centre put ones on, but it's like literally only like established artists and international artists that come over. And a lot of times I've went to some of those shows and they've been absolutely packed out, because, as you say, like younger generation, they're so into their music, and it's like that's where the passion starts. A while ago, it was probably one of the first shows that we ever played, is Hit the B Button. Centre used to do a thing called Breaking Bands, and they were all ages shows. And the whole thing behind that was that it wasn't an Centre thing, but I know that there was like maybe one or two people work there that were actually responsible for putting that night on, and they wanted to do it, and they took all responsibility for it, and they done the sound, and they got all the bands checked in and everything else, and they like kept an eye on obviously the bar wasn't open, so it was like the wee cafe counter and stuff, and done teas and coffees and everything else, and that was all their responsibility. But like they're just volunteers in Centre, and I don't know if it just became too much of a commitment or whatever, but that kind of went away for a while. And the thing with underages gigs is that you need people with like child protective training and stuff there, because people are always going to show up and they're going to have fine drink from somewhere beforehand. You'll get some young kids that are showing up and they've had a drink beforehand, might cause problems, or might just have too much drink, pass out or whatever. And there has to be people there with training that know how to deal with that shit. I know for a fact that this is why independent promoters that put on their shows are not going to touch underage gigs with a 10-foot barge pole, because there's too many ifs, ands, buts, questions, whatever, places where they can get into trouble. But I do wish that like maybe bigger, more professional venues with like proper staff and stuff would think of ways, as you're saying there, Martin, like wristbands or something. There's bound to be like a solution or some sort of answer if people put their heads together. I understand the problems around it, but like if other places can manage to do it, then we should be able to find a way to figure it out too.
Especially a place working with volunteers. If someone's willing to volunteer to do that, surely someone would be willing to be paid to do that in another venue. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
There's money to be. There is money, as Stuart was saying. There's like a big thing is to get money into the scene.
Yeah,
and that is. It sounds cynical, but it's a way to get money into the scene.
It is.
More people, more money.
It's essentially a win-win. I think sometimes bars base things solely on bar sales, which is disappointing. I know that's part of it, but it's always been my it's been kind of my big gripe about Battle of the Band competitions, which I know maybe not everybody agrees with me on this, but I vowed one day just that I was never going to play them again, because I thought it was kind of a toxic environment of, a music community that, yes, there can be pleasant competition against other bands, but it felt like this was the only thing that had a prize at the end of it dangled like a fucking string. You know, it's like there's actually something worthwhile if you win this, whether it was like a grand, you know, that you could do something with your band, or a slot at a festival that could be a big game changer for you. But it's like, one, you have to play against other bands, which means that, God, you might end up causing rivalries there unintentionally. And the other thing was that a lot of it came down to a popular vote rather than like a judge actually making a decision on something, which I'm never really a fan of anyway. But to me, a lot of venues were not that the venues were in charge of it necessarily, but the idea is, oh, if more people vote for you, then you end up winning. Encouraging people to bring as many people as possible to a battle of the bands to buy drinks at bars. Like I'm sure they make a killing on those nights. And you know, where does that money go? What, just into the venue, I assume? And it's like these people desperately doing it because they want to win this thing at the end. It sounds bitter, like it's nothing to do with that. It's just what I seen from them, and I just thought it was a bit of a toxic thing and disappointing that that's
cultivate bad vibes. Like,
I think so.
You have walked into them before, and it's like it's just nerves. You probably do get some people that are way overly competitive, but I think for the majority of it, it is just nerves. But you'll walk in and there's like 4 bands playing on the night, and they're all, as you say, pitted against each other, and you go in for sound check and everybody's in the 4 corners of the room looking at each other, and it's like, it's only the people who, like, don't get me wrong, I'm so glad we played some of them because we've made some incredible friends throughout the years from playing Battle of the Bands, but there's some people that will be too scared to talk to one another and worried about the competitive nature of it, and look across the room and see somebody staring back at them and not realize they're nervous too. They think they're staring them down, sort of thing. And it's just that atmosphere of dangling a prize in front of like four bands that creates this weird atmosphere. And there's people that can kind of rise above that and realize it's like they're just fucking freaking out as well because they're just about to play a show, and they come over and they talk to you and it's the coolest thing in the world, and then you play shows and stuff afterwards. Like, it's definitely has been good, but there's better ways to get bands together, definitely, instead of just dangling money in front of them all.
Like, by the time you are even slightly ready to play any kind of gig, let alone something like a Battle of the Bands, you've put in countless man hours learning how to play your instrument, practicing as a band, hopefully, building a chemistry with your other members, coming up with all these kinds of things, and you're going in there in quite a tough environment where everyone is not only looking the prize in terms of, oh, if we get X amount of money, we can then move from this part of our plan to this part of our plan. We can record this, we can do this, we can do that. It's also, I think, for a lot of people about validation, as in, I've put in this much time, this much money, this much energy doing all these things. What happens if I go out there and the judges think I'm shit and the audience thinks we're shit? Even worse, if everyone does pretty okay, and then everyone's on the same kind of power. If everyone's on the same sort of power quality and only one person can win, there's going to be 3 to 4 bands that are sort of feeling a bit dejected, like, you know, was their time worth more than my time and stuff like that.
You know what? I think you draw like a really fair point. I think what is one of our main struggles in our music scene is I feel like there's just not the infrastructure there for the amount of quality that is here. Like, there's a lot of, like, for this show, we would like try and hunt out new music, just not on our scene, like on other scenes and stuff. And like, I'm constantly trying to do research and like doing like, you know, searching through hashtags and posts and everything else is like UK music scene. We had stuff from Toronto the other week, Toronto music scene and stuff. And it's like, there's some cities that don't really have thriving music scenes with like the sheer amount of bands that are coming out of here with the quality. And I just feel like there is a distinct lack of infrastructure to try and push so many bands that are of a quality that could actually do something. And it's like there's only a select few that are getting the attention that they need, and I don't. To me, that's where government and like the Department of Culture, Arts, and whatever has to step in and go like, we have an awful lot of stuff that we could make use of here. We have an awful lot of talented people. And I don't know if it's like a funding thing or what.
Well, I was gonna say, and in the end, make money off of it because, like,
Yeah, exactly.
nobody will lie. It's like, yes, it is about making money for not just the people involved, but for everybody else, the venues, the economy. Like, it has to be financially stable, and because there is just, like you said, no infrastructure there, nothing to actually push it. Even though we're such a small area with like really good quality, and like I'm not even just saying that, it's like I think because we know it's small and we know there's like a blockade sometimes of trying to get out of here, people push themselves so hard here, like it's insane, and the quality that they feel they have to go to just to make a name for themselves is amazing. I mean, there's so many things where the point we say so many times on the show is like, we make playlists that match international artists with people that are homegrown here. We do that because as far as we're listening, I mean, I never hear a drop off in quality. You can play something side by side of a new indie band I've discovered, but maybe they have like quite a decent following, and then a band from here that maybe don't seem like they're as high up on the sort of the list as those guys are. But at the same time, you play them next to each other, and you're just like, everything is like, they went to the effort, went to a good producer, made an amazing record. The song is good. The song is catchy. Like, if you put those two things together and let someone listen to it who's impartial, I don't think they'd be able to tell you who's further on in their career. And that's insane. I wish we had some way to manage that better in this country, like, because I just don't think it is there.
I think it is pretty fair to say that almost all, if not all of us, are putting in, and at least when gigs are running, we're making more money for the local economy, venues, and all that kind of stuff than we were actually taking out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really is, it's not even necessarily a long-term investment. I think it's just a wise investment for them to put the time and energy into fostering what we currently have.
Yeah.
100%, man. 100%.
And it'll raise the bar even further in terms of quality, because
of course,
the more reward you get for putting in that work, the more work you're gonna do. Like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like it'll keep going. It'll keep building.
That's it. People are putting in incredible effort without even one pat on the back. It's like, as soon as you start recognizing like some of the bands and like how well they're doing, it's like, just imagine how much more they're gonna freaking give. It's like, somebody's paying attention now. It's like, just wait till you see what I can actually do.
Yeah.
It's so weird making the transition from us playing as Reasy Ajarro for well over a year and a half before we actually released a single. Pardon the
Stuart's favorite topic. You're releasing stuff after a year and a half.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. Yeah, you got
it. Who wants to, being able to listen and have their own thoughts, and it's went from just the three of us hanging out in rooms or discussing things in group chats to like other people actually caring and having a vested interest and opinions and stuff, which is really surreal.
Yeah, no. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Sorry. An opinion. That's a good word to use. Like, genuinely, I would prefer someone told me my song is shit than like it be ignored. And that's,
at least they're engaging in some meaningful way. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
No, that's it, man. Well, your new single's shit, and we don't like it, so I just thought I'd let you know here. Right, talking about all this amazing homegrown talent, we're gonna jump into the shout-out segment. We're gonna make it a short one, because then we're gonna get into talking to these guys about it isn't shit. It's their amazing new single and new EP coming out. So here's the shout-out segment. Okay, so we are only gonna do a couple here because we know we got the boys on, so we gotta talk to them about all the stuff coming your way is from tomorrow. Jesus, exciting stuff. So the other things that we just want to have a little mention of here, some super recent news and really exciting news is that Sharam have just been signed to Alcopop Records. That is very, very hot off the presses, everyone. They've been signed to Alcopop Records and they just released a new single today called Kisses on My Card. Very Valentines-esque. Definitely go and give it a listen. Like, the three of us had like an extremely quick listen because this news was so fresh right before we went on with you guys. And I mean, nothing else should be expected from Sharam. They're, sort of, I don't want to say pop punk, but it's definitely in that range, I would say. Sharam, like, for sure. But they're like a pop punk trio. And
yeah. I don't know why it should be a dirty word nowadays because I'm going to shout out a pop punk kind of band later, but like awesome. It hits me with all the nostalgia in the right ways. Like it's definitely that's what you're saying. Yeah. Like it's like anything Sharon puts out is so well produced and like and it's so hooky.
Better. Yeah, it only got better with this single, and I feel like they are reaching a new level now. With this sign into the record label is just gonna be great, and I would be very psyched to hear like the release of a Sharam album. Like I would be totally on that, because they just can't really write not like catchy songs. Like I don't know, it's like infectiously catchy all the time. Like I really can't get enough of those guys. So, congratulations to them. That is amazing news. Was really happy to read that. Also we have CMAT, who we have talked about in the show before. We're a big fan of CMAT, especially Mike over there. Mike loves a bit of CMAT.
Super duper fan.
He's a super duper fan. So she's released a special edition vinyl, right, Mike?
Yeah, she put up I think it was maybe 2 nights ago or something. And this is incredible. I just love this for her. It's the most amazing thing. She put up like a special edition pink vinyl. It has the song that I stumbled across and absolutely loved. I Want to Be a Cowboy Baby. An incredible video as well. Like I recommend anybody check it out. But it's like a short EP. I think it's like maybe an additional 4 songs. But it was like this special edition vinyl, pink vinyl. She sold 300 copies in 6 hours and was absolutely like overwhelmed and like over the moon about like I did not expect that to happen sort of thing. So I think what has happened there is she went back to I think it's like Dublin Records or something like that and said, guys, I need a couple more. So I think they've maybe done like a further pressing of the pink one, and I think there's maybe 200 copies. They could be away by the time we put this show out, but there's like maybe a couple more of the special edition left, and then I assume it's doing very well. She might put out a second pressing then with like just normal black vinyl or something like that. But it is there, and like I recommend anybody check out that song because it's this weird. I don't even know how we described it before. It's like it's country, but it's not. It's like really modern. Yeah. It's got a little bit of Mac DeMarco vibes as well, and I don't know. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, no, and you put me on to SEMA, but yeah, I have appreciated it ever since because it is awesome.
She has the best sense of humor as well. Like if you follow her on Instagram and stuff too, she's very, very funny.
She is very funny, yeah. And then a shout out that doesn't even really need a shout out is if anybody didn't know, Taylor Swift, this ongoing thing about her masters. For anyone, the quick summary for anybody who hasn't been following this is that she obviously doesn't own her masters. This is a problem with a lot of artists, especially big time artists. So I think she only owns publishing rights, which means that people can like sell and use her music and things. She can only really veto it and sometimes say, oh, she doesn't want it used for this or that, but generally she doesn't own her own music, put it that way, which is shitty. And this is what happens to younger people whenever they sign record deals and they lose everything. So she doesn't really have her own back catalog, but she, being the crazy boss that she is, doing all this nut stuff, is trying to take it on by re-recording her, like, was it 5 albums or something like that? Her first 5 albums, she's gonna re-record them all as close to original as possible so that she can start forcing that into circulation rather than the one that's owned by a different company. And tomorrow, it will actually be midnight tonight, will be the release of one of our first huge singles, which is Love Story. So it'll
Oh,
be the
mate.
re-recorded version of that is out at midnight tonight, which is amazing.
Fucking love
So,
that song.
fucking good on her, you know. It's really cool, and she is not the first person to do this. You know, another band that did it was Wheatus, because of their
Yes, I
Sony
saw
deal.
that.
They redid Teenage Dirtbag because of the exact same reasons. And
They
then
put out
pushed
that
one.
whole album, didn't they?
Suck Phony. Yeah,
Yeah.
Suck Phony.
They were
Yeah.
annoyed. Yeah.
Really highbrow, intelligent, decodable message in the title there. If you have the time to look into it. And that is it for shout out segment.
Oh,
Everybody.
here. I got that
Amazing.
video that I was going to tell you about. This isn't really a shout out. It's more just me telling my brother live about a song that I think that he might like. There's this band called Nothing Nowhere. I don't know if anybody's aware of them, but like they're another band that don't really need a shout out. They're kind of blowing up and stuff. This video has like 1 million views. I think it was put out at the end of January there just, but it's like it is very pop punky. But like the video is hilarious. It's like this 80s inspired video, and the guy is dressed up. If you remember that Blink 182 video where Tom DeLonge's playing the character of Boomer, and he has like the big 80s blonde hair wig, the guy kind of reminds me of that kind of vibe. But yeah, they're called Nothing Nowhere, and the song's called Nightmare, and it seems to be very popular. I think it was like some sort of YouTube rabbit hole. I was having a drink at the weekend, and it's like it just came up, and I was like, where the fuck did this come from? Like, how have I not heard this before? It's very, very catchy.
You son of a bitch.
Check it out,
I'm
Stu.
in. I'm in. I'm
You
in.
son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Yeah, so that's it for shout out segment. So, guys, we gotta talk about it. EP coming out tomorrow, correct?
Yes. It's
Shocking.
actually 2 hours and 14 minutes away. Woo! That's
Oh,
scary,
man.
man.
It
I'm
is
happy,
cool.
right?
This is kind of like the literally this episode should be going up simultaneously with the release of your first EP as Reasy Ajarro, which is really good timing on on everybody's part here. That was good. I don't think we meant to do that, but sure.
We're never that good with timing.
We're never usually this good with timing. Surely something will go wrong with the episode where I can't upload it, and then they'll never see
You'll
the light
post
of
it
day.
up
or
in like a
something.
couple of weeks or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you said before, pandemic aside, you guys were performing as Reasy Ajarro a little bit before the whole COVID-19 thing, right? And then the pandemic, I assume, is what has held everything back quite a bit. The recording process for the EP before the pandemic or after? Before. I would have said, because I was like, you probably can't even do anything at this moment in time. I would imagine you're not meant to be recording with anyone. But yeah, so I assume it was it long before or just before the like everything got mad? Like when did you record this thing?
December
Six.
2019, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a vlog on YouTube that kind of dates it, I think, doesn't it?
Oh right.
I
right.
put it out just as the first lockdown was announced. So I was
Oh
like,
god.
well, the music's not coming out for a while, so I might as
Yeah.
well like show what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we did it in December 2019.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and we were actually planning to have it out in April.
Mhm.
We booked Voodoo and Speakeasy. Speakeasy for a single release, which was Separation, or
Yes.
something else, but we'll get on to that. And then the EP launch in Voodoo in April, and literally like 2 days after we booked it, it was cancelled on us, and we're like,
Oh
it's okay, it's fine, it'll be 3 weeks later.
yeah. Yeah. You remember those days when we all thought it wouldn't be much longer? Oh dear Lord. I still remember laughing at the first person in a mask I seen. And I feel like an absolute dick now because it's a year on and I'm wearing one every day. So yeah, stupid me. A year ago past Stuart, he didn't know what was happening, you idiot. So
Should we dare say, oh, it'll not be long now, and then a year
No.
later we can look back and laugh at ourselves because
I
we
would
said
maybe
it?
look at booking Voodoo for 2022.
Probably, yeah. Maybe April 2022.
Yeah, for
That's
the EP launch.
is coming out, folks. Yep. Get ready.
Um,
You aren't ready.
We're all gonna be
You-
on walking
'cause neither
sticks
are
and
we.
Zimmer frames by the time we can all play gigs
I
again.
know, I know. It's insane. So man, that's been a long time. I'm sure it's like killing you guys sitting on this stuff for so long. Was it finished in December 2019? I mean, like fully mastered everything, and you just been sitting on it for that length of time.
We had
Oh,
the finished product before Christmas.
And we know I know your take on that. You're like, just get it out, and I'm like, Stuart isn't gonna be happy with us. He isn't gonna be happy with us. I'm
Oh,
sitting here like holding it close to my chest, going, nope, can't release it yet, can't
dude,
release it yet. And
look,
then we're just like,
yeah.
fuck it, get it out.
Each to their own, man. I don't really know how I would have handled it. Well, knowing my track record, I probably would have just released it straight away, to be honest. But that's more a personal thing of like, I just fall out of love with stuff that quickly whenever
Yeah.
I've made it.
This
It's
is
like
the
I need
thing,
to
like
go.
if he held on to a record for a year, he would hate it and it would just never come out.
Mm.
That does sound similar to us in the past.
The trick is,
see- sorry, I'll stop jabbering on in a wee second. I'll give the other two guys a chance to say something. But right, essentially 3 songs are coming out tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
We recorded 5,
Right.
and had this released in April, all 5 would be out.
Right.
So we have decided we don't like 2 of the songs enough in that year. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know about the other 2, but like I like the 3 songs we're putting out more now than I did then.
Right.
They've had like that. Say there was 6 months, man. I demoed about 13 new songs. I was just sending them songs every single day, just going, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" And I didn't get a reply, and I was like, maybe it's because I'm sending them a song every day.
Fair.
But yeah, I genuinely think that 6-month kind of period where we didn't listen to it has kind of made those grow on us, and the other 2 fall off, and they'll be back. They'll be back.
Yeah. I think there's room for those 2 songs that we haven't included in the EP to be a lot bigger and a lot better, basically. Just with putting more time into them, into the actual recording process. We recorded with Frankie McClay in Einstein Studios in Antrim.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely. If any of you guys have recorded with Frankie before, like it's a great time always, you know.
And I never have personally, but I always hear really good things about Frankie. I have in the past, and we actually
It
had
was one we
said
looked
if
into, wasn't it?
yeah, if we were still going with B Button, I think we definitely would have went there next. But obviously we stopped that band after a while. So, but yeah, everybody who worked there and all their stuff sounded amazing as well. I know every time we heard something come out of there, like, oh, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, he's got this big Bork bass, and Ewan got this
oh
pretty
my
monstrous
god.
tone out of it. Like,
Yeah, it sounds like a growling dog. Like,
I was gonna say the bass tone in the first single, because obviously that's all I have to go off of at the minute. But it is, yeah, it's top tier as a bassist myself. Yeah, I'm loving that bass tone, dude. Loving it.
big fat
I
Bork
think-
custom, like.
Yeah, and Frankie did this thing where he took off the E string and put on like a 5-string, like a B string, but
Yeah.
tuned it up to just C sharp. So we're playing a drop C sharp with this massive, fat, like extra
Amazing.
string. Place it really shouldn't be, but it just like you hear the results.
the results, yeah,
it's
they
like-
don't lie.
Yeah, it sounds badass, dude. It does, and it sounds like I don't know how you managed to make the song like Separation sounds somewhat Surf Green-esque in like the verses and things. Like it's got that sort of that punk element, that like fast, furious punk thing, and then descends into absolute chaos of like in metal. I don't even know, sludgy sort of riffs towards the end, and it is amazing. I feel like it has just accentuated the qualities that Surf Green would have had before this, because there were certain songs that you guys had, like what was it called, Part 2, that was very much like of that vein of like, look, it's kind of punk, fast, furious, but it's also got this like heavy, dark side to it, and this is like a way more mature version of that. Like you've managed to like finesse it and condense it into something that sounds a lot more like a cohesive song, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I was saying last week or the week before, like it's very you try and communicate to people maybe who don't listen to music much, and it's maybe just like a too simple a comparison to make, but it's like in certain bits I keep saying it's like it reminds you of Green Day, but then it transfers to System of a Down, and those are the two things that I always felt that you guys captured, like those two vibes, and it's like to get them all on the one song and executed so well. As I say, it's a very simple comparison, like, but if you're trying to explain to like say a work colleague or something who doesn't really listen to local music, it's like, you know, those two bands, if you want something like that all in one song, like right in your face, just listen to that, and like you'll get it in less than 3 minutes. And you'll be like, what the fuck just happened to me after that?
Wake up on the floor.
See, I think what we did in the EP as well, obviously you'll hear it soon. That song is like the punch. It's like the 2.5 minutes shortest song we have. Then there's also the longest song we have, and it's like super emotional. I'm crying all over it. Like you can taste.
Oh, did you guys do a ballad?
Kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing, like, to be honest. But like, you know,
in.
You can imagine yourself in a zone. You know, it's from essentially what I'm thinking of it as is, you think the pandemic was hard. It was hard before. It was still hard then.
And it will always be hard. It will always be hard. Life is never easy.
So weird hearing you shout through my floorboards.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that you guys are in the same place, which reminds me, at the very end of the show, I feel like you need to go on Martin's camera just to finalize this thing to weird people out.
Like some sort of weird magic trick just revealed at the end.
That'd be awesome.
If I leave now, I might be able to make it over to just jump into.
Yeah, that would be more freaky if you actually just did that.
He just drops through. I have a skylight up there. He just drops through there. But yeah, the other song is like a not a mix between the two, but it's like a lot less balls to the wall. But I would say that is the closest on the EP to Surf Green. But it's a lot more like, there's a lot more technicality to it and stuff, and you'll hear it yourself. I worked a lot on my vocals too since the end of Surf Green, because it was always something that really like bugged me. I always heard like live videos and we sounded sick until I started singing. I'm like, oh, get it off. So like that's something I've been really at that with my lyrics as well, you know. So I really think the first song, Forgotten Son, is pretty much that, in my opinion. I don't know what the other guys think.
Yeah, I would say Forgotten Son was one of the first songs that really was like, right, we need to change our name. You know, there was something going on there. It still had that kind of energy. It's probably got more so like punk energy than like Separation would have. But then it has kind of this like extra layer behind it of like something like emotional going on with Martin's lyrics and stuff, and then like there's a bit of technicality in the actual playing and the parts. There's more like intricate sections and stuff. So we were just kind of like, yeah, this isn't really Surf Green, so it's time, you know.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine playing like Depresso Expresso straight after it. Same thing, the whole song, you know.
You know, a question I have to have on this podcast, I need to ask you for my own personal worry, is there's a song that you guys had towards the end of the Surf Green life cycle, and my question is, will that song ever see the light of day? I think Martin knows what I'm talking about anyway. I don't think it was ever actually named.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is the one you can name. Will that ever come out?
That was recorded for the EP.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that may annoy you, but like, don't worry.
It's frustrating. Yeah, 100% frustrating. Yes, because it's my favorite song that you guys ever played.
Well, I think we've got another song in that kind of vein that I think is. I don't want to trump myself, but I think it's better.
Yeah.
A
lot of people have said it's great.
No, I don't mean it that way. But like, we have we're maybe recording something at the minute. Not at the minute, but like at the safe minute, you know, like when it's possible.
Yes.
We had a room and stuff that got water damage, but that's another thing. You don't want to get me talking about that.
A whole separate podcast.
Hear Me Out. And then there's another few songs that are,
Yeah.
they're coming.
Look, as long as it comes, man. That's because I think you're on to something with that one for sure. I knew whenever I first heard it, and that was in a live atmosphere, so I can only imagine what the record version would be like as well. But it really reminded me of Cloud Nothings, which I think was like I don't know if you guys get this at all. Like Cloud Nothings changed their style quite a lot as well, so it's probably a weird comparison, like dependent on what sort of song I'm thinking of. It was that what was the album they made with Steve Albini? That's the one I'm sort of
Attack
thinking
on
of.
Memory. They actually have a new one coming out with Steve Albini.
Oh, do they?
Did they
Right,
go
okay.
back to him?
Yeah, they've actually. I
Right.
think it's coming out.
Why would you ever leave him? Like,
I think it's coming out in a couple of weeks. There's
There
three
was-
singles
there
out
was-
of it from
There
him.
was weird things where is it Dylan Baldy or something like that? He like had interviews and stuff, and he was just saying stuff about how everybody knows how Steve Albini works, but I think like a lot of like the music media took it as slabbering, and I thought there was a wee bit of weirdness between those guys at one stage, was there not?
Well, I think they might have gotten over it because
Yeah.
there's an album
Yeah,
coming
they're
out in a
back
month,
again.
So
Well,
Yeah,
like,
because I
it's-
had heard there was something there as well, and that's why I thought, oh, I didn't know they were going back. But I think Steve Albini's a bit like, I mean, amazing guy, but I don't know. I think the minute you butt heads, then it might be
Yeah.
game over a little bit. Like, so you gotta let him do his thing. No, but that's I don't know. Obviously, I only heard it in a live capacity, but that was I don't know. Always had that thought in the back of my head is like there's something about the chorus that like makes me think of that band. I don't know. Maybe that's very far off what anything you're trying to go for. Like, but
no,
it's
I
there.
get it. Like, I get it.
No, I
it's
can hear
it's a lot in the guitar because I think, God, when did we write that song? 2.5 years ago.
it was one of the first ones he wrote with David. So
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah, I was playing a lot of Cloud Nothings then on guitar, so that's probably just
Yeah. I'm
slipped
glad.
in.
I'm glad if I have an ear for it. I'm usually pretty good at picking stuff like that out. There's also a bit of what do you call him? Ruben as well. There's a little bit of Ruben in your guys' music too. Who if you've never listened to Ruben, they're fucking awesome. So you should go and listen to that.
I gotta get a question in before we wrap up. The video, because like the last couple of weeks in particular, I've been spouting off I don't know how many times about how important it is for like bands to put out like some cool visuals and stuff just to get people on board and stuff. Was that your guys' thoughts as well? I know you guys done videos before. You done some DIY videos, which I loved, like the aliens
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like what was your guys thinking around that? Because I know you went to Dan Productions for that, and I kind of like I fanboy over like any music video that he puts out. Like he gets me on the bands by just putting out like the most amazing music videos because they're so cool.
Oh yeah,
I take it you guys thought that was a really important part of putting out the new music then?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. We're
I
hoping
think
to
that's. Oh, sorry, Dave.
we're hoping to do that again, maybe with like the next single we release or something like that. We were thinking of dropping another video because it does kind of just help get people on board and it helps get it onto people's screens. And like you're more likely going to click on a video than you are going to click on a song or a link to go and watch something or listen to something, you know, with just a picture there.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's something that held us back quite a while to do with the releasing the EP as well. Because I was really set like we need to get a music video out. I don't want to release something without a music video first because we'd never tried it. We'd released Crave More with a music video before, but it was already out before the music video. So like,
Yeah.
I wanted to do it the other way around this time. You know.
I know. I think we
And
had
it
always
worked pretty
like
well.
talked. Yes, and no, man, it definitely did, and it's something that I always say about doing, and then I don't think I ever do because I can't hold on to stuff. And it just like the minute it's done, it's out, and it's like I gotta make a music video for something one of these days and put
That
it out
is-
first.
That is the problem. Whenever you have to do everything yourself, whenever you have zero budget, and it's like I do want to give these songs everything that they deserve. I've been working on them for like say 1-2 years or whatever. So it's like I want to do everything. I want to I want to be the PR guy. I want to get all my press shots and everything all good. I want it to have like the most incredible video. But by the time you get all that shit done, it's like, nah. These songs are old.
Three
You know what
years
I
down the
mean?
line, you're just like,
Yep.
yeah, I don't even care about this anymore. But it's
Yeah.
new to everyone else. That's the hard part. Is you almost need to
Yeah.
separate
You
yourself
can't
from
see
it.
that. Yeah.
It's very hard to, very very hard to. So give us a quick rundown. This is we'll start wrapping up here in a minute, boys, because we want to get this out for the EP release, which is just 2 hours away, which is super duper exciting. At this point, I probably will be up just to listen to it the minute it drops because I will finish editing this episode and put it up.
Thank you so much, man.
No, of course, dude. Of course, I'm really pumped for it, and I hope it does really well for you guys. But just give us a bit of what are the tracks on this? There's 3 of them. Let us know the titles and a little bit about the artwork as well, because I seen that you've taken this photograph, which is really interesting to me. So I just kind of want to know a little bit about it.
The photograph is actually by a friend of Martin and I's from high school, a guy called Josh McGuckin, who is like a photographer.
Mhm.
We have been sitting on this photo for well over 6 months. Like, it was the first lockdown,
Mhm.
and I don't know about you guys, but I still see new things in it whenever I look at it. Just every time, there's just something
Yeah,
else. There's just something really special about it, and it just speaks to how talented the man is.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that he was okay with us using it.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, yo man, this looks like REP sounds. And I
Yeah.
don't know how that works, especially the third song. I'd say look at the photo while you listen to the third song above.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And what's the songs called on it? There's obviously Separation, Forgotten Son, and what's the other one?
Above.
Above. Right. Okay.
Yeah, we're bad at
Alright.
naming things, so that didn't have a name until about 2 weeks ago.
Pretty much when
think Martin-
DistroKid asked for one.
Yeah,
Really?
just decided, and DistroKid asked for the name. He was just like, above.
Above.
I was like, all right, okay, above. That's the name.
He was typing in same as above and accidentally
Yeah.
just
Same as above.
same as above.
Separation as well, for fuck's sake. Just
Separation 2, Separation 3.
Electric Boogaloo and whatever.
Oh god, I love it. But yeah, so the EP is called Stop and Stare, yes, and
Yep.
out tomorrow. You're gonna be battling with Taylor Swift's Love Story. For
Goddamn T Swift, like
May the best artist win.
yeah, no, exactly. We'll
it's
see.
not us.
We're screwed.
Reasy Ajarro overtake
God.
Taylor Swift for UK #1.
You know what you guys do? Just put out a Taylor Swift cover. Just get in on that hype train.
Yeah.
Why
That's
does she
worked- that's
cover
worked
Separation?
I know. Well, that's where there's an idea. There is an
Send her
idea.
an email, Martin. Send her an email right now.
Yo, Taylor, fancy covering our song, Separation. You have to do the screams yourself, though.
Can only be done by you. Or Justin Vernon. We get Bon Iver in there again. He can do the screams. Auto-tune screams.
I could see her pulling it off, to be fair.
Yeah, she can. I don't think she can pretty much pull up everything, to be honest. It's
Strikes
fucking
me as
crazy.
if they set their mind to it and give themselves enough time, they'll do it kind of person.
And she has 1 hour and 52 minutes to get this song out because we're doing it as well.
Yeah.
I want if you need to get over to our house for this cover.
Well, she is actually the next person we have on after you guys, and we'll do a Taylor Swift podcast. Didn't mention that before. We don't really care about her though. So, well,
Yeah.
look, guys, it has been fun.
I feel like we
Oh.
can't end the show without getting a little scream from you.
Oh, we gotta get a Ewan scream. That is true.
Ewan, do you want to come up to the good mic?
Oh
Yes,
yes,
yeah,
This
get
is
him
where
on
we
the
go.
mic.
Yeah, I can-
And we'll
the
do
big finale.
we'll do a
Awesome.
sexy Valentine's Day scream.
Any words, any phrases, just a big.
Yeah, what word are we getting?
We'll do sex because that's what everyone's gonna be having in a couple of days. So
Oh, wow,
go
talk
for it,
to
Ian.
yourself.
Come on, lad. Come on up.
I'll do the breath.
Chance to go and scream sex.
Ewan,
If that's making you
scream
feel
sex into my
uncomfortable,
mic.
Your
you just-
neighbors are gonna think things are weird.
Please just watch to the end.
I'm gonna keep the headphones on so I don't have to hear this.
I'm really glad we're friends with our neighbors.
Yeah, me too. No, if people ain't making babies to that, then I don't know what's gonna. I don't know what's gonna
I
make you.
unfortunately have to hear this.
Oh,
It's coming through the floorboards like.
Lord help your neighbors, and they just be like, oh, holy shit! Valentine's Day hit the Reasy Ajarro household early.
Is that what you sound like after every Arsenal game, Martin? Or
At the minute, yeah. For the
Unlucky.
past while, yeah. We don't talk. That's probably a good thing.
that is a separate podcast. We'll do a sports one. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll do sick shot, bro.
Oh, for
Cry
God's
about
sake.
Arsenal the whole time.
I will sue you. Look, guys, been fantastic having you on.
So go home. We
Oh,
love
fuck.
you. You're very special.
And yeah, dude, the Stop and Stare EP out tonight at midnight, going stream it tomorrow. Excited for these guys to get back at it whenever the time is possible. But keep on plugging, keep on chucking, guys. I'm looking for my outro song and I can't fucking find it on my soundboard. This should be a smoother transition. There we go. This has been Six Zebra. I'm so bad at podcasting. Sorry, everyone. We'll be back again next week. Thank you to Reasy Ajarro. Go and check them out. EP's out in less than 2 hours. It's coming. And by the time this comes out, it's going to be way less than 2 hours. So, yes. Thank you guys again. And we'll speak very, very soon.
Bye.